Okay, let's do this. Let me start with a number that should make every business owner stop and think. In 2025, 42% of companies shut down most of their AI projects. Just the year before, that number was 17%. That's not progress. That's a lot of wasted money, frustrated teams, and abandoned tools. This is the AI Adoption Masterclass that you need for 2026 on how B2B businesses can adopt AI without burning through their cash. Now, here's the part most people miss. While nearly half the market was pulling the plug, a smaller group of businesses were moving in the opposite direction. They weren't spending on every shiny AI tool, they were tightening workflows, cutting back wasted hours, and protecting margins. That is the exact split we are in right now. And heading into 2026, every business has to decide which side are you going to be on. This masterclass is built to make sure you're not in the failure bucket. Over the next few hours, I'll take you through the entire AI adoption audit. This is the same framework I use inside of my company to help recruitment firms, creative agencies, and consulting businesses. It's a process that shows you exactly where time is leaking, where the budget is being wasted, and how to calculate ROI before you invest another dollar. Most business owners don't have the bandwidth to this out themselves. You're already managing clients, leading teams, and keeping operations running. That's why I built this process to cut through the noise and give you clarity on where AI actually delivers measurable returns. Now, here's a quick reality check just to sort of help you frame the problem. The average company now runs over 100 plus apps, and teams are still spending 60% of their time on work about work. Now, what do I mean by that? Work about work is work that is not actually putting in anything directly into company's revenue or growth, but is work that ensures that the work that the company needs to do is happening properly. Hence, work about work. This stuff like hands off, updates, and reporting. Most software on top of broken processes doesn't really create leverage. It creates noise. Here's our next 3 to 4 hours will run. Think of this like a boardroom working session with clear outcomes. First, we're going to go into the foundation of why AI adoption actually fails. There are three major failure patterns that cost companies money: tool first thinking, no ROI math, and the 90-day cliff. We'll run a 5-minute shelfware audit to find immediate savings inside of your company. Then we'll move on to how you get ready for adopting AI. This is what we call as the AI readiness audit. The step one of this is identifying repetitive tasks, then prioritizing time leaks, understanding your system compatibility, and then the quick ROI wins. So take a minute, close all other tabs because the businesses that act on this in 2026 will set the pace for next 3 years. Everyone else, they'll be spending time catching up. I mean, if they're still around. Before we get into all of this, I want to quickly share who I am and why am I doing this. So, before we get into module one, let me quickly tell you who I am and why I built this masterclass. My name is Devansh Kamlani. I run an AI consulting company called Yugnova. You can check this out in this link. Our focus is quite simple. We help businesses adopt AI in the most seamless and efficient way possible, and we make sure it delivers tangible ROI, not just following the AI hype. Now, I did not start as a tech founder. My background is in sales and consulting. I have been inside fast growing startups. I have carried a revenue quota, and I've seen what happens when teams scale without systems. You lose hours every week to manual work. You burn money on tools nobody uses, and your growth stalls. This is just a few pictures of me caught in action. The frustration is what pushed me towards AI, not as a buzzword, but as a way to fix broken workflows and give businesses back their time. Since then, I have built recruitment chatbots that qualify and schedule candidates automatically, ATS tools that rewrite resumes and give instant feedback, webinar funnels where AI leads and almost doubles the conversions every single time, sales processes where AI acts like an employee, following up, scheduling, and reporting without ever needing a salary. Now, here's why I'm doing this. First, I want to give business owners a clear, no fluff playbook for AI adoption. most businesses are wasting money chasing tools and nobody is showing them how to do it right. Second, I also know most of you do not have the time to build this out yourself. You are running a company, you're leading a team, and you cannot afford to spend months figuring out workflows and integrations. This is where I and my company come in. We do the heavy lifting, so you do not have to. So whether you take this framework, implement it with your own team, or you decide to partner with us and make it happen faster, the outcome is the same. You get back time, you cut costs, and you finally see AI adoption deliver real business results. That is exactly why I built this masterclass, to give you the roadmap I wish I had years ago, and to make sure you do not become part of the 42% businesses who waste their money and time to figure out AI adoption and give up. If at any point while watching this video you feel like this is exactly what your business needs, then you do not need to wait till the end. Use this link or the link given in the description to book a free consultation with me and my team, and we will walk you through your 90-day AI adoption roadmap. Also, this whole document that I'm using right now will be available in the video description. So just go there. You can download this document for yourself and go through it by yourself as well. Now, let's get into the foundations of why AI adoption actually fails. Now, the reality of most business owners, and something a lot of them don't want to hear, is that in 2025, as I mentioned, 42% of companies shut down most of their AI projects. The year before, it was just 17%. This means in 1 year, the failure rate more than doubled. And these are just a few articles that I have pasted here for your reference. And it's not just about abandonment. Analysts have estimated that 85% of AI projects fail to deliver measurable business value. 85%. That is almost 9 out of 10 projects producing little or no ROI. Now, if that wasn't enough to create urgency and get you to do AI right, consider this. According to an MIT study, 95% of organizations that start AI projects never really make it past the pilot stage. They get stuck in the proof of concept, they spend the budget, they use up people's time, and then they stall before adoption can ever happen. MIT study shares AI hype, 95% of generative AI projects are failing, sparkling tech bubble jitters. Anyways, to put things into perspective, you launch an AI initiative, you put people onto it, you dedicate a budget to it, you hype it up internally, and 3 months later, just 3 months later, no adoption, no ROI, just wasted energy while your competitors quietly moved ahead. Now, this is not just a failed experiment. This is a lost ground. This is how our AI adoption funnel looks like. 95% people fail to adopt, 85 fail to produce any ROI, and 42% of them are just abandoned. Now, here's a blind spot most leaders miss. While official AI projects are being abandoned, employees are running ahead on their own. Executives think maybe 15% of their staff are using AI here and there. The truth is stranger than that. It's closer to 45%. That means almost half your team may be already using AI tools under the radar, without any structure, without any oversight, and without ROI tracking. Now, if you ignore that, you're not only missing potential returns, you're also creating risk of shadow adoption, data leakage, no visibility, and no way to measure what's actually working. Now, why am I hitting you with all of this right at the start? Because this is the baseline for everything that follows. This masterclass is not just about hype, it's not about tool shopping. It's about making sure you don't become another statistic. Here's a question. I want you all to sit with it as we move forward. If 85% of AI projects fail to deliver ROI and 95% stall before adoption, what would it mean for your business if yours was one of the few that actually worked? Think about the hours you would free up. Think about the cost you would cut. Think about the competitive edge you would gain while others are still cleaning up their mistakes. That is why this framework matters, because the gap is widening. The businesses that get AI adoption right in 2026 will set the pace for next 3 years, and the ones that don't will spend years catching up with those. I mean, if they're still around. So 2026 is the tipping point for AI adoption. So as we move into the next sections, remember this. AI adoption doesn't fail because the technology is weak, it fails because the process is broken. And if you get the process right, you won't just avoid being part of the 42% that fail, you'll join a much smaller group of businesses that actually win. Now, these are the three AI adoption failure patterns that we have seen. You've seen the reality of AI adoption. Let's just get a little more practical. Why do so many AI projects actually fail? From all the research we have done and from what I've seen working with businesses directly, the reasons are actually quite consistent. Almost every failed AI adoption comes down to three patterns. Going tools first instead of workflow first, skipping ROI math before buying any software or AI product, and hitting the 90-day cliff where projects get abandoned. The three failure patterns: tools first, no ROI math, and a 90-day cliff. Let's break these down one by one. Tools first, workflow later. The first mistake is what I call a tools first adoption. Here's how it usually looks like. A business owner sees a demo of the latest AI scheduling tool or a chatbot platform or a reporting assistant. It looks amazing in isolation. They swipe the company card, buy 20 seats, and roll out to their team. And 3 months later, nobody's logging in. This happens everywhere. And the reason is quite simple actually. The average company is already juggling more than 100 different apps. Despite all of that tech, employees still spend around 60% of their time on what's called work about work, updating spreadsheets, chasing approval, sending reminders, and sitting in meetings that can actually be just a 2-minute phone call. So, adding another shining tool doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really create any leverage. It just creates another password, another tab, and another distraction. Here's what most business leaders forget: AI is an amplifier. If your process is broken, AI won't fix it. It will just help you break it faster. Let me give you an example. I worked with this creative agency that bought an AI reporting tool. The idea was that it would save their account managers time by generating client updates. Sounds good, right? The problem was their account managers had no consistent process. So, how they gathered the client data in the first place was not consistent across account managers itself. So, everyone was using different templates, different metrics, and different sources. So the AI tool amplified the inconsistency. Reports were faster, yes, but they were also inconsistent, unreliable, and in some cases, flat out wrong. Within 90 days, the tool was abandoned. So never really start with tools. Always start with workflows. If you can't sketch a process out on a whiteboard, you have no business. No business at all throwing AI at it. Think about it like construction. You don't buy the fanciest drill before you've drawn up the blueprint of the house. If the foundation is shaky, a new drill just makes the mess happen faster. So the rule stands just like this: map the workflow, clean it up, and then bring AI in. AI is like fuel, it can accelerate a car. But if the engine isn't tuned, you're just pouring gas into a broken machine. So map first and then bring in AI. The second failure pattern is skipping the ROI math. I'll be quite blunt on this. If you don't run the numbers before you buy, you're not investing, you're gambling. According to Zillow, businesses waste an average of $21 million a year on unused SaaS licenses. More than 53% of licenses go completely unused. Now, you might think that that's enterprise data. My company isn't spending millions. Fair enough. But the ratios are the same, whether you are a 50% agency or a Fortune 500. Let's run a very small scale example. Say you're running a recruitment firm, you buy 50 seats of a sourcing tool at $20 each per month, but in reality, only half of your team logs in regularly. That's $500 wasted every month. Over 12 months, that's $6,000 gone. Now imagine you have three or four tools like that sitting in your tech stack. That's over $20,000 a year burned. That's a cost of a one full-time recruiter that you could have hired. That's a cost of the entire marketing campaign that you could have had. That is why we have built something called as the AI adoption ROI calculator. Let me show it to you quickly. So this is a AI ROI task mapping where there are a lot of other things that we'll go into as we move ahead. But the way to calculate where you're losing cost and how you can actually save up money is this. You can use this tool. You can actually just go to the file and make a copy and use it for your own business as well. I'll just quickly show an example. Let's say we take an example of candid outreach, right? Let's take candid outreach as an example, 4 hours per week, $20 an hour for a recruiter cost, and 5 recruiters, right? Let's see. So, candidate outreach, owners are recruiter. Owner is basically the person who's actually working on this. Number of owners is 5. Hours per week is 4. Cost per hour, let's say $20. Perfect. Now, if you see, we'll come to value category and automation potential. That is for the later things. The weekly cost here is $400. Monthly cost is $1,733. And annual cost is around $20,000. So this is how much time your recruiters are spending in just candidate outreach, right? Now, the idea is if you can automate even half of that with AI, that's $10,400 saved from just one workflow. This is why it matters that you do these ROI calculations before you invest in a tool, so that without it, you're not able to see the hidden cost. You just see a monthly subscription and think it's only $20 a seat. So the rule here is quite clear. Every AI decision has to pass this ROI test before you spend a dollar. If you don't have the numbers, then you don't have the justification. A tool that is $20 here and you were spending over $20,000 on that, but you're only able to save $10,000, that's not really how things should work, right? So the ROI test needs to happen before you spend any other dollar. And if you don't have the numbers right, you don't have the justification to actually invest in any other AI tool. Think of it like hiring. You wouldn't hire a full-time employee without actually calculating their salary benefits and expected impact. So why would you hire a new AI tool without running the numbers first? Here's a small but a very painful example. A creative agency I consulted bought licenses for a reporting automation tool. 25 seats at $30 a month. Nobody checked usage. A year later, they realized less than half the seats were being used, and that's $4,500 gone, just like that. No one even noticed. Now contrast that with the consulting firm we worked with. They used the AI adoption ROI calculator before greenwriting AI note-taking tool. They calculate, okay, we spend 10 hours a week per consultant on notes at $40 an hour. With 5 consultants, that's $2,000 per week. Over a year, that's around $104,000. Even if AI saves us 31%, that's 30%, that's $31,000 in ROI. They bought the tool, trained the team, and within 6 months, savings were real and measurable. Tools are like investment. You wouldn't buy stock without actually checking the numbers first. Treat every tool the same way, as an investment. That has to beat the market, not a gamble that you hope pays off. So the rule 2, ROI before spend. Perfect. Now the rule 3 is most AI projects get abandoned after just 90 days. And this is a failure pattern that is consistent in most companies that we've worked with. Here's the cycle. Let me explain it. Month one is excitement. Everyone's curious, everyone logs in, and usage is quite high. Month two, because the workflows are not set, people aren't very sure about how the tool fits into their daily work, and processes get even messier. And by month three, everyone just abandons it. Nobody's logging in, but the licenses are still being paid for because they think if it's not helping me and it's giving me more confusion, why should I even use the tool? And that is a cycle that keeps repeating. This is why Gartner predicts that by 2027, over 40% of advanced AI projects will be scraped because they never could actually move past pilot mode. And the craziest part is while officials are abandoning these tools, shadow adoption is skyrocketing. As I mentioned before, executives believe maybe 50% of the staff are experimenting with AI, but the reality is actually closer to 45%. So what happens is this official project dies, but employees are still using AI under the radar without any structure, oversight, or no way to measure ROI, with plenty of risk like data leakages, compliance issues, and wasted efforts. The consulting firm that we worked with was going through the exact thing exact same thing. Leadership rolled out an AI note taking tool. By month three, nobody was using it officially, but half of the consultants were quietly using ChatGPT in the background for the client prep, and leadership had no idea about it. And that's the 90-day cliff in action. So, how do you avoid it? The rule here is simple: guard the first 90 days. That's where adoption is won or lost. The way to beat the 90-day cliff is structure, clear ownership, adoption targets, and ROI check ins at 30, 60, and the 90-day mark. Think of it like a gym membership. The first few weeks, motivation is high. By month two, life gets busy. And by month three, you stop going, but the charges keep hitting your card. AI tools are not very different. If you don't build accountability and milestones, usage falls off a cliff. As mentioned, this consulting firm rolled out an AI sales assistant to log client interactions. For the first month, usage was high. By month two, adoption dipped, and by month three, less than 20% of consultants were using it, and leadership had no process to track it. The tool was still costing them around $2,500 a month, but delivering zero ROI. Now, compare that with a recruitment firm that did it right. They assigned one owner to champion the tool and set adoption goal. 80% of recruiters must use this daily by week 6 and ran check-ins at 30, 60, and 90-day mark. By the end of 3 months, adoption stuck. After that, tool became part of their culture, not just a passing experiment. Adoption is like onboarding a new employee. If you don't train them, track them, and integrate them within your culture in the first 90 days, you lose them. Treat your AI projects the same way. Guard the first 90 days because your ROI completely depends on it, because it actually does. If you're not able to, you're just wasting money. Might as well keep doing things together. So, if you were to tie all of this together, the three failure patterns explain why so many AI projects collapse. One, leaders chase tools instead of workflows. Two, they never run the ROI math before buying. And three, they hit the 90-day cliff where projects are abandoned while shadow adoption grows under the radar. If you avoid these three mistakes, you're already ahead of the 85% of businesses whose AI projects fail to deliver results. And in the next section, I'm going to show you the flip side, a proof that when AI is tied to workflows, how it actually delivers measurable ROI. These are three rules to beat AI failure. Perfect. Workflow first wins. As we've talked about, that you got to look at your workflow before investing in any tools, because while 42% of projects are being abandoned and 85% never deliver ROI, there's a smaller group of businesses that are winning with AI. And the difference is that they're not actually chasing shiny tools. They're tying AI directly into their current workflows, the real repetitive everyday tasks that eat up time and cost. When you make that shift, you get three things every business owner cares about: speed, savings, and scale. For us to break each of them down with real numbers, real math, and real exercises you can do for your own business, let's go here. Speed gains is equal to faster revenue. Let's take recruitment business as an example. Time to hire is everything. Every extra day a role is unfulfilled, your business is losing productivity. If you were to run simple math, scheduling interviews is one of the most repetitive workflows in recruiting. A recruiter might be spending 3 to 4 hours a week chasing candidates and hiring managers for time. With a 10-person team, that's 30 to 40 hours gone every single week. Now plug that into the AI adoption calculator that we talked about. 35 hours, $30 per hour, that over 52 weeks, that's around $54,600 tied up in scheduling alone. Now imagine if AI cuts even half of that, that's $27,000 back. And more importantly, days shaved off your time to hire. Now think about the competitive impact you can have in a tight market like recruitment businesses. Getting an offer out 3, 4 days earlier means you secure the candidate while your competitor is still emailing back and forth. So AI adoption advantages be first. Now, for this part, I actually want you all to grab your notepad or a Google Doc, write down one workflow that you feel slows down the revenue in your business the most. It could be scheduling interviews, sending proposals, or client onboarding. How many days does this workflow currently take? If you cut that by 30 to 50%, what would it mean for your revenue? Now, this becomes your benchmark. AI adoption now in your head is not abstract anymore. It's about cutting days of the clock right there. This is your first ROI opportunity. The second thing here is cost savings, which basically means protecting the bottom line of your business. Margins are getting tighter in every industry. If you can free up costs without cutting headcount, that's an immediate win. How do you do that? One of the biggest silent costs in businesses today is wasted software spend. As mentioned, according to Xylo, companies wasted $21 million dollars a year on unused SaaS licenses. More than half of all licenses, 53%, go completely unused. So, to bring this home, think about reporting workflows. Maybe your team spends 10 hours a week preparing client updates at $40 an hour across five people. That's $2,000 per week. Over a year, that's $104,000 burned just on reporting tasks. Even if AI cuts 30% of that, you've got $31,000 back. At 50%, it's $52,000. And that's just not high anymore. That's hard savings right there. So stop leaving your lights on and you start using the software that actually matter. Here's your task. Open a fresh page, write down the three tools you're paying for right now. Next to each one, mark this. Are you using these tools weekly, monthly, or rarely? Now, when you see all of this, now when you see the total monthly cost of the ones rarely used column, multiply it by 12. That's your annual waste. The money sitting on table, you can redirect into workflows that actually generate ROI. And the third and the most common way AI works is scalability. More clients without more headcount. Most businesses don't fail because of lack of demand. They fail because of bottlenecks. There are only so many hours your team can actually work. AI helps you break through these bottlenecks and giving each employee a substantial amount of leverage. Take client follow-ups, for example. A consultant might be spending an hour every call writing notes and drafting emails. At 20 clients, that 20 hours a week. At 200, it's impossible. But with AI generating the first draft of your notes and sending structured follow-ups, the same consultant can now serve 5 to 10x more clients without actually adding more work to their week or more hours to their week. Here's a simple math for you guys to understand this. If AI saves just 30% per client, at 200 clients, that's 100 hours freed every single month. At $50 an hour cost for a consultant, that's $60,000 in extra capacity per year. Now, if you were to map out your capacity, write down how many clients or projects each team member currently handles and what does your ceiling look like before they're going to burn out. And I imagine if each person had an AI junior assistant handling 30 to 40% of the admin tasks that they're currently doing by themselves, how many more clients would they take on? If you write that number down, that is exactly your new capacity map. That scale without extra payroll. Perfect. So we're going to close this section. When AI is tied to workflow, three things happen. You gain speed, you save cost, and you create scalability. The ability to serve more clients with the same headcount. And this isn't just theory. McKinsey report says that embedding AI into workflow lifts productivity by 20 to 30% across core business functions. And the final activity for this section for you guys is to take all these notes from the three exercises, your speed benchmark, your waste audit, and your capacity map, and put them into a simple grid. This is your AI adoption grid. Pick one workflow from each column, and those are your three AI adoption priorities. And once again, remember, AI adoption is not about buying the shiniest tool. It's about building the discipline and a workflow first ROI based decision. If you were to pause here and look at what we have covered in this just foundation, you've seen the reality check of why most AI adoption fails. You've learned the three failure patterns that sink projects before they start, and you've seen the proof that when AI is tied to workflows, the ROI is real. You get speed, savings, and scale. We'll be shifting gears now, and everything we talked about so far has been quite high level about mindset, patterns, and proof, but theory doesn't really change your business. Execution does. The next step would be to get more hands on and get you to see all those things in action and show you how exactly can you do these things for your business. Because if you're serious about AI adoption, the first question isn't which tool should I buy? The first question is which repetitive tasks are quietly eating time and money every single week in my business. That's exactly what we're going to tackle in our next video. That is the step one of AI readiness audit, identifying repetitive tasks. We roll up our sleeves. I'll walk you through how to identify repetitive tasks across recruitment, creative, and consulting businesses, and you'll start building your own task map. This is where your audit would actually begin. So, for the next video, take a breath, grab your notepad, and when you're ready, we'll dive into it. Also, if you need this document again, the links are in description. You can get the document. If you want to book a call with us, that's also in the description below. Just book a call and we'll help you do everything that we talk about here. Cool, guys. I'll see you in the next video. The step one of AI readiness audit, identifying repetitive tasks.